Hello and welcome to Global News Factory. I'm your host, Vikrant. We are starting with BRICS' offensive today. 3 moves, 3 capitals, 1 sleepless Washington. After BRICS, we move on to Ukraine. Winter is coming as darkness. Grid hits stack up. Even Kiev's lawmakers warn of blackouts. And we close with Pakistan versus Afghanistan, airstrikes, payback, and the background backdrop. Proxy or pivot? Is it a new front between BRICS and the West? We unpack the map and the motive. First of all, Namaste folks, I am back and I am charged up. I took a time out in the Himalayas, climbed 2 ridges, and came back with clean lungs and even cleaner headlines. And guess what? While I was up in the clouds, BRICS really shook the ground. So let's begin. 3 capitals. First stop, New Delhi. Quiet step, big echo. Indian Oil Corporation has started paying for Russian crude in yuan, the Chinese currency. Earlier, the path was a maze, rupees or dirhams, and then yuan, and then rubles. Now, one toll booth is gone. Faster, cheaper, smarter. India buys about 1.6 million barrels a day from Russia. 1.6 million. That is a river of oil now settled in Chinese currency. What does that mean? Simple. The dollar's monopoly at the fuel pump just found a leak. If this continues, energy trade, global energy trade gets a new language. No speeches, no fireworks, just invoices that don't say USD. It is win-win-win. Moscow gets stronger finance links with Beijing under the dragon bear hug. For Beijing, this means a stronger yuan. And Delhi gets steady discounted energy while its companies now pay less in operation cost. So it is win-win-win for all 3 countries. That is mastery. This is silent diplomacy by BRICS with loud results. India using yuan was unthinkable 2 years back. Only private players were doing that so far, but now state-owned companies are using yuan. This will give a big boost to Indo-China ties as well in coming years. And India did not stop at payments. It opened the hangar doors. So we have this development. HAL, India's top aircraft maker, is moving ahead with Russian partners on Sukhoi 57, and the number being floated is 114 jets. The headline though is the rumored holy grail, full tech transfer, even source code. That is like getting the recipe, the spices, and the chef's notes. You don't just fly the plane, you tune it, you build it, you sell it, and when needed, you surge capacity for your friends. Translation: Make in India trades its training wheels for afterburners. Somewhere, a Western lobbyist just spilled his coffee. So just few years down the line, you will hear about Russia and other friendly nations using made in India Sukhoi 57s. And that was about key developments in India. Now let's move on to Russia. Putin says a new strategic system is almost ready for the big reveal. The West is still struggling with the playbook called Oreshnik, Iskander, Kinzel, pick your headache, and Moscow is already teasing the next chapter. He even shrugged at extending the old warhead cap next year. I'm talking about the START treaty. Here, Putin is saying, we're fine if you extend, fine if you don't. We prepared either way. I hope Brussels and NATO's Chief Revenue Officer Mark Rutte are hearing this. You do any misadventure and you invite those mushroom clouds over your head. And now China, the rare earth move that looks tiny on paper and huge in factories. New rule: if more than 0.1%, yes, 0.1 of a product's value comes from a restricted rare earth, you need Beijing's permission to export it. The list of blacklisted elements got longer, and there is a hard no for foreign military use. Also add fresh port fees for US ships. Outcome? US supply chain managers now dream in periodic table. The US tried to fence China out of advanced chips. China answered by fencing key minerals that make those chips, motors, magnets, and missiles work. One pinch of dysprosium is like baking powder in a cake. You don't see it, but without it, nothing rises. And make no mistake, the first bullet was fired by US here. Washington and friends rolled out export bans on semiconductors, tools, and even people back in February and even under Biden administration. China simply picked a lever it owns: physics. Elements don't watch cable news, they decide who ships on time, whose turbines spin, whose fabs hum. So how is the White House taking it? With tariffs the size of roadblocks, 100% on China, and earlier we have 50% on India because reasons. We have seen this movie. Act 1 announced tariffs, Act 2 prices climb, supply chains reroute, multinationals smirk. Act 3 a quiet climb down dressed up as a deal. Taco Trump will soon rediscover that you cannot tariff your way out of the periodic table or sanction your way out of a currency shift. This is not a lightning strike, it is steady rain, one invoice at a time, one tech transfer at a time, one export license at a time. The world is shifting, the dollar will not fall tomorrow, NATO won't pack up next week, but the old comfort is cracking. Washington feels it, Brussels feels it, markets feel it, and BRICS is just smiling. Moving on, winter is arriving early in Ukraine, not with snow, but with darkness. For a month, we kept hearing the same script from Kiev. Look, we hit Russian energy sites. Big win. More weapons, please. In September, Ukraine attacked the Astrakhan gas plant for the second time this year. Other Russian sites were attacked too. The plan was simple: make noise, claim victory, and use the headlines to nudge the West into sending longer, meaner toys. And that is how tomahawks became the talk of the town. Trump even did his usual drum roll. Ukraine can take land back. Wow, applause on TV. No power at home. Because now the bill has arrived. Russia answered the way big powers always do. Quiet planning, loud impact. Ukraine's energy sites took hit after hit. This was not a warning shot, this was an invitation for blackouts. And it is not me saying it. A senior lawmaker in Ukraine, Mariana Bezuglaya, told her own people the hard truth. I'm quoting her. Regardless of the protection and air defense, Russia can destroy almost any critical infrastructure in Ukraine at will. At will is the keyword here. The only question is the number of missiles and drones. That is a confession from the inside, not a quote from a forum. She said more, and it matters. She said, I'm quoting, winter will be difficult, there will be blackouts. Result? On Friday, Kiev's left bank got hit hard, lights out, taps dry, phones dying, patients thinner than a phone battery at 2%. Media reports say thermal power plant number 6 took multiple blows, and across the map in just 10 days, roughly 63 energy sites were hit. 63, that is not a leak, that is a flood. Let's call this what it is, a plan that backfired. Kiev hit Russian energy sites thinking Moscow would stay civilian friendly forever. For almost 3 years, Russia held back from smashing Ukraine's grid the way NATO did in Serbia or the way Israel does in Gaza. Restraint has an expiry date. You poke the bear's wallet long enough, oil, gas, power, and you invite the bear to poke your power stations. It is terrible for ordinary people. Yes, the human side matters the most. Bezuglaya told people to be realistic, stock essentials, help each other, prepare for outages. Simple advice, heavy meaning. Because when the grid groans, the first to suffer are not the men in suits, It is the families, the elderly, the kids doing homework with a torch, the nurse trying to keep a vaccine fridge cold, the shopkeeper whose card machine dies at rush hour. So let's step out of fantasy land. This is not a video game where you farm drones, unlock tomahawks, and level up. This is a war economy on shaky legs. Walking into a hard winter, if Kiev keeps chasing viral headlines, viral strikes on Russian energy, Moscow will keep pressing the off switch in Ukraine's cities. Do we want this loop? Or do we want heaters on, pumps running, schools open? If the people of Ukraine want a warm, peaceful winter, they need to get rid of Zelensky as soon as possible. You can protest, you can push your lawmakers, do it legally, do it safely, but do it loudly. The choice is yours. The choice is not surrender or suffer. The choice is negotiate hard while you still have leverage, or keep trading substations for sound bites for headlines. Choose wisely. Moving on, Pakistan just opened a new war tab, and this time this bill is addressed to Kabul. So here is the plot in plain words. This week, Pakistan launched an airstrike on Afghanistan's capital, Kabul. Pakistan says it hit Pakistani Taliban fighters hiding there and, for spies, blamed India for support. Delhi said, "Nice try." Taliban said, "We don't host anyone's fighters." And then came the Act 2. The Afghan Defense Ministry said its forces hit back successful retaliatory strikes on Pakistani troops. So yes, we have a new war. Two neighbors, one border, zero trust. And now add the Washington angle. Just days before, Trump posted his famous warning, "Give back Bagram Air Base or bad things happen." Bold tweet, small fine print. After that, Pakistan's army chief was given grand welcome at the White House. Deals got signed, minerals, crypto, the usual shiny words. And suddenly, Pakistan is bombing Kabul. Coincidence? Maybe. Convenient timing? Oh yes, if Trump won't send American troops to enforce his threat of bad things, who is the regional bouncer on speed dial? The same man he shook hands with, General Asim Munir of Pakistan. And while this was unfolding, Afghanistan's foreign minister Amir Khan Muttaqi was in India. He did not mince words. Bagram is not for sale, not for lease, not for temporary parking. We are a free and proud nation, he said in Delhi. He said, "You want ties? Open an embassy. You want a base? Forget it." Simple, clear, and very non-negotiable. So what is really going on? Three layers. First, Pakistan wants to show muscle across the border after getting all of its air bases bombed by India. Second, America's long arm pressured the Taliban without owning the mess. Classic outsource. And third, the big board, a new line gets drawn between the West's pressure and the bloc that talks to Kabul: China, India, Russia. For Pakistan, this is a dangerous two-front illusion. You cannot fight a long insurgency at home, poke a neighbor, babysit America's threats, and still expect calm streets in Karachi. The math does not work. The more you bomb Kabul, the more the Taliban Pakistan or the TTP cheers. The more your own cities feel the blowback. It is like trying to put out a kitchen fire with petrol. So yes, the BRICS versus West lens is back. One side brings sanctions and threats, the other brings trade talk and phone lines. Kabul will pick the side that keeps the lights on and the roads open. So what should you watch next? 3 signals. First, does Pakistan keep the pressure on Kabul, or was this a one-off show for Washington? And second, does Kabul retaliate again, or does it slide a message through Moscow or Beijing to de-escalate? And third, does Trump double down on Bagram threats or pass the baton to proxies? Those answers will tell if this is a skirmish or a season. So stay with us. The story is moving fast and we will keep it simple, sharp and honest. And that is all for now. Thank you very much for being with me watching GNF.